Wowie, an Admiral actually doing something? No way. Chapter 1090 was interesting as we cut back to Egghead and see the aftermath. We saw a few scenes in this chapter which reminded me of pre-time skip Straw Hats. Let's zip right into it. The cover page has Kuro. This man has been hiding since the East Blue. He's reading a book called Heritage. This might relate to inherited personality traits passed on through lineage factor. I can't really read what the other cat is reading. Does it say Actin, Klo, or Ido? And is the next word polygon but spelled Peligon? This must be a message from Odo that Pel is gone. Maybe you have to switch the O and E in Actinido Polygon to make it Actinide Polygon. Wow, now I gotta do research in chemistry? Actinide could be referring to the unstable and radioactive elements on the periodic table located here. Now look at this. There's uranium, neptunium, and plutonium. These three would be referencing the ancient weapons, with neptunium being Poseidon. But the ancient weapons have something to do with these elements? Shout out to 3 Day Trip's theory where she references and talks about these elements. I'll link it in the description. Interestingly, actinoid literally means actinium-like, or in other words, humanoid or android-like. So if you know that Poseidon is a person, it might be that each of the 3 ancient weapons might be a humanoid or android. Again, it might connect back with heritage since Poseidon's blood runs in the royal family. I haven't even gotten to the chapter yet and we're off to a wonderful start. Luffy sounding threatening and negotiating has to be the greatest thing I've ever seen. It was not a good idea for Luffy of all people to talk with the Gorosei. Take the phone away from this kid. By picking up a signal on Egghead, was this how Morgan got the news of Luffy holding Vegapunk hostage? Or was that still a lie that they made up? Morgan is entering God status the way his lies are becoming true. Luffy pulled a Shanks and snitched the Gorosei. Why did they entrust this man to talk about anything?
You can't keep getting away with this!
Luckily, Robin ended the call before he spilled everything. Talking about the people that are injured will definitely make everyone back off. Now there's 3 things that the Gorosei want from Egghead. York's safety, Vegapunk's punk records, and the power station for the Mother Flame. I'm guessing the Marines and world government are not getting most of these. The only person who might be getting any of this would be the Blackbeard pirates probably. Imagine what Blackbeard would do with the Mother Flame or punk records. Oda did say that he was interested in archaeology. Feels bad, man. Lucci and Kaku aren't what's important. This is animal cruelty. We get to see a glimpse of the Gorosei and Imu's ideology because Saint Saturn said that humans are insects and how it's justifiable to kill them because they will multiply once again. Maybe hinting at what happened in the last great cleansing. Is Doberman realizing that the Gorosei are crazy? Doberman for Nakama? We get another beautiful scene of York crying. She talks about how she would wipe Egghead off the map, just like Ohara, which is exactly the Gorosei don't want to do because they want punk records and the power station for the Mother Flame. Pretty wishful thinking if you ask me. Alright, theory time. York says she's gonna tell the elders. This means that York and Shanks are related, which makes her part of the Figureland family, and that's how she becomes a Celestial. This one was a no-brainer to figure out, but I had to mention it. Robin might have been injured by York because Nami is angrily hitting her, but it might just be the Seraphim. I love it when Chopper gets all shy when he gets complimented. Kaku is also injured and lying down. Kaku went against 2 Seraphims, which is crazy to think about, but was unable to handle both of them. A new competitor for glizzy eating. Who would win, Saint J. Garcia or Monkey D. Luffy? Put your bets in the comments. But onto a more somber topic. It's confirmed that Shaka and Pythagoras are dead. But on the bright side, Edison is still alive. I'm still sus about there being another traitor, maybe someone feeding Blackbeard information. Lucci feeds information on the Straw Hats and Vegapunk to the Gorosei. Maybe the cover page has cats because of how many rats we see in this chapter. Usopp contacts the basement where all the CP agents are kept. All of them are drinking and eating food after being starved for so long. I think we might see Carrot here. In the basement as well are the Seraphim who are captured in the Mark III's bubble shield, which have been infused with the energy of the sea to hold Devil Fruit users. The Mark III is an interesting name because it relates to the Shark Submerged 3 and Vegapunk's Mechanical Shark Label 3. I'm telling you, there's a connection between Devil Fruits and sharks. The Seraphim are under the control of Vegapunk, and they probably won't go rogue, which is One Piece for it will go rogue. The Seraphim have not received any orders to deal with the CP agents. They should really call another type of CP agent, The S-Snake Seraphim undid the petrification on the Straw Hats, with Luffy bypassing all other orders. Vegapunk says that the personality traits are passed on by lineage factor during the cloning process. This is huge because now it's confirmed that personalities can be inherited, and explains how Zoan Devil Fruits might have a will of their own. In my Afro video, I talked about how Moria putting shadows in zombies transfers the shadow's owner's personality to the zombie. A prime example was Ryuma, who had Brooke's shadow for many years and still says, "May I see your panties?" Even though Moria says that they will slowly lose their personality. The physical strength comes from the corpse itself, while the personality and fighting techniques come from the shadow and are identical to those of the shadow's original owner. Doesn't this sound like what Vegapunk did? These Seraphim have a Lunarian body and the Pacifista's light beam ability, yet have the personalities of the warlords. Just an interesting parallel there. Cool of you, sounding like love you, made me chuckle. What a funny guy Oda is. The transponder snow screens look funny too. The Marineford screens just look like flat screen TVs compared to the old retro kind of TV with antennas. Even the high tech is reverting back in time. The island is surrounded by 30,000 Marines. But it's fine because Ace shows up in this chapter. The Frontier Dome is locked behind a passcode that York placed, and she didn't upload the code to Punk Records. But this line that York said, "Laughing is making her hungry?" Interesting. Very interesting. Could this be a connection to Luffy and his Nika Devil Fruit? Vegapunk says that the island northeast, which the log post is pointing to, is Elbaf. Let's pause there for a second. Elbaf! It's been a quarter of a century in real world time, and now finally we are getting Elbaf. Usopp and Luffy are just like me for real. But I think this arc is like 75% done, and the last 25% is escaping the Marines and world government. So we're not done with Egghead just yet. Also, I find it funny how Luffy is grabbing a burger here in this panel. In the next panel we see him, the burger disappears from his hand from the shock. Usopp and Luffy sing about going to Elbaf. 3 time skip vibes here, and I love it. I wonder if Lucci has told the Gorosei about Stussy's betrayal, or if he's still keeping it to himself. The Sunny is on top of the island near the Labostratum, so leaving the island from the northeast would be best to head off to Elbaf. A coup de burst should fix that. Fanfiction here, but what if the barrel of cola that they load to escape has carrot or caribou inside, halting the escape process? That would be pretty funny to see. I love how Vegapunk is fascinated by the power of cola. Is this the infinite energy source that he's been looking for? Haha, very funny punny man makes funny joke about cracking while on the island that is called an egg. Bonnie, Luffy, Frankie, and Lilith are on a mission to bring the Sunny to the backside of the island to escape when the dome comes down. They converse about food. Even after eating that much food, Bonnie is still hungry and wants to stock up on pizza. Luffy mentions Sanji, and Bonnie compliments Sanji being a good cook and a strong fighter. Treat me like white teeth. Don't get me dirty. Also, Bonnie seems more cheerful and doesn't want to kill Vegapunk anymore. Seems like Kuma's memory sorted out why Vegapunk made her father a pacifista, and afterwards she was crying non-stop. It's possible that Sanji was the first one to find Bonnie with his woman crying detector. The rest of the chapter is the talk with Kizaru and Saint Saturn. While Saint Saturn is focused on the mission of killing Vegapunk, Kizaru seems honorable in the sense that he won't fly over Sentomaru, who is facing off against him and protecting Vegapunk. He also displays his military intellect and knowledge to see the casualties that would have been caused by skipping over Sentomaru. Again, the Gorosei seem to be making rash decisions for the sake of their goals, without taking into consideration the casualties resulting from those decisions. It also shows that Saint Saturn and the Gorosei see human lives as insects that can be replaced, for not only in general, but also the Marines who are on their side as well. This kind of ideology is like the idea of Moria's infinite zombie army. Kizaru also praises Rob Lucci. Maybe these two have had a past together. It would also make looking back on the Never Night Island of Enies Lobby, where Rob Lucci fought Luffy, more interesting if it was done by a previous user of Kizaru's Light Devil Fruit. That would be a pretty interesting parallel there. The Marines ready themselves for battle against the Straw Hats. We see some of the new Marines here. The pacifistas are said to be immune to the cannons, probably because of their bubble shields. It's weird that the sea beasts can't wield these bubble shields. Is it because they aren't smart enough, or that it's a Kuma-specific ability with his special race? Anyways, we see Luffy enjoying bouncing on the island clouds as the gang arrives at the Sunny and Vega Force 1. Very weird that these clouds are the same ones that make up Sea Stone, yet Luffy can bounce on these with no problem. Then Pineapple Man versus Fat Gum, who will win? I'm excited to see Kizaru in action and what kind of justice he will show. Luffy, Bonnie, Frankie, and Lilith notice a light on Egghead, and Luffy says there's something strong coming. This could be Kizaru or Saint Saturn, but we all know who it actually is. It's Doberman. To me, this chapter was a 5 S-Snakes out of 10. That's not to take away from the fact that there were interesting scenes like the Gorosei and Kizaru's ideology, and the fact that personality traits are passed on through lineage. I just think that there weren't many things to talk about in this chapter, but I'm excited to know that Elbaf is next, unless they pull a time skip. Actually, let's make that 6 S-Snakes out of 10 for the puns. I love puns. What will happen on Egghead? Will the Straw Hats be separated? Will York get her Celestial Dragon position? And most importantly, will Nami escape with her man-made jewels? Alright, that's all for today. I'll start combining chapter reactions sometimes if I'm busy, since school is starting back up for me. But I think for this chapter, I might make a mini theory or short on something interesting I found in this chapter. Thanks for watching, let Oda cook, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye bye.